Okay, well here with example 12, we want to use a calculator to solve. And the reason why we're going to use a calculator is mainly for the fact that we've got three variables here. Yeah, they're not x, y's, and z's, but you see how they're x1, x2s, and x3s, kind of the same difference. Same rules apply. You want to make sure, first of all, that they're all kind of in descending order. So x1, x2, x3, all the variables are on one side, constants on the other, so that's great. So just like before, let's set up an augmented matrix where everything here in column 1 is going to represent the x1 coefficients. So it looks like 0 for the first equation, then 4 and 3. Okay, the next column is going to be all the x2's coefficients. So it looks like -1, got to remember that, -3 and 2. All right, all the x3 coefficients are 1, 2, 1. Line to represent my equal sign, and then what they equal. So 2, 16, and 11. Okay, so all of column 1 are my coefficients on the x1s. All of column 2 are my x2 coefficients, and then all of column 3 are my x3 coefficients. All right. Now, what we're going to do here is go straight to my answer, and we're going to let our calculator do all the wonderful work. And what I would do is maybe just get out your calculator first of all and foremost, and just go with this through me one by one, like just follow my steps through it. And then what I might do is you might pause it, go back and watch this one again, and then actually write down what I was saying in case you're not familiar. If you know how to use these in your calculators, yeah, just kind of speed through this part and get the same answer, okay? All right, first thing, what I did right here on the right is I wrote what was on that left side of your calculator. You have a second button, an alpha button, then the math comes next, and then this button right here, the X inverse button. And right behind the X inverse is that word matrix. That is our goal. It's all about this button right here. Well, specifically, it's all about the second button and then the X inverse button. So that's how we're going to get to the matrix, okay? So I want everybody to hit second and then that X inverse button. And then what comes on your calculator are three options. It says names, math, and edit, with number 1 being highlighted. So just go ahead and scroll over to edit, because what we're going to do is edit that very first matrix where it says A. Okay, so just scroll to the right 2 clicks and hit enter. Now the first thing we need to do is enter in the dimension size. And the dimensions of your matrix is always row by column. Okay, it's always the number of rows by the number of columns. Well, over here it looks like we have 3 rows, so you're going to hit 3 and enter, and the number of columns is 4. So we have x1, x2, x3, and then what they equal. So then you'll hit 4 and hit enter. And then it's going to set you up with all you have to do is start entering numbers in. So the first number we want to enter is 0. So hit 0 and then hit enter. And it's going to go to the right. So the next one is -1, enter. And make sure, by the way, you use your negative button, not your minus button, otherwise it won't solve this for you. You have to use your negative button, which is down on the bottom right, okay? And then 1 and enter, and 2 and enter. And notice after you finally got this last little 2 put in there, that it automatically kicked you down to the second row. Okay, so why don't you go through and finish putting in the rest of the numbers real quick. And by the time you actually have entered in that last number, it's just going to leave the cursor just sitting there. It's not going to kick you back to the home screen. So what we have to do to go back to the home screen is hit your second button again, so that top left one, second, and then go over to just to the right where it says mode, but we're going to go second quit, okay? So second mode, which quits you back to the home screen. All right, now that you're in the home screen, we're going to go back to our matrix. So second X inverse, go over to math. So just hit 1 to the right, go math. And what I would do is scroll all the way down until you see it, like, you have number 1 through 7, 8, 9. What you want is B. So after you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, there's A and there's a B. So make sure B is highlighted, which says RREF. That's what you want. This is RREF, and it's going to open up a parentheses. So hit enter once the B is highlighted. It's going to take you back to your home screen where it looks like this, RREF with an open parentheses. What we need to do is now insert matrix A. So go second X inverse. Make sure that number 1's highlighted. If it is, just go ahead and put enter, just as is. And what that does is it puts right there in your calculator something that looks just like that. It puts that in there, the matrix A. And then all you have to do is close the parentheses and hit enter. And look what comes up. If I write this out, it's 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1 3 0 2. And there's your solution, because look, 1's along the diagonal and 0's everywhere else. So this first row is telling me that x1 equals 3. This second row is telling me that x2 equals 0. It's okay, it equals 0. It's a number, but and then x3 is equal to 2. And that right there is my solution. If you want to write it in a coordinate, it'd be 3 0 2. And there's the coordinate solution for specifically where those three equations are going to cross each other. Okay? So let's practice this some more. If you want to pause it, kind of go back through this video one more time, or this section for example 12, and write down what I did, with like second x inverse, scroll to the right to edit, enter in your enter in your matrix, and all that. I would highly suggest that. And then after that, make sure you go through and look at number 54 in the book, read through it, and we're going to start right there with example 13. We just got 2 more examples, and we're going to call this lesson done for right now. Okay, in example, which is number 54 in the book, example 13, talks about Kelly Fisher has a total of $30,000 invested into 2 bonds. Okay, last sentence says, how much does she have invested in each bond? So we have basically 2 different bonds. We have 2 variables then. So X is going to be the dollar amount invested in, let's say, bond number 1. And we'll let Y be then the dollar amount invested in bond number 2. Okay, in that very first sentence, we got to form 2 equations because we have 2 variables. So Kelly has a total of $30,000 invested. Okay, well, if X represents the number of dollar amounts invested in the first bond, Y is the dollar amounts invested in the second bond. Dollar amount plus dollar amount equals total dollar amount, which is $30,000. Okay, now the next part talks about yields, rate of returns. It looks like the 2 have an 8% and a 10% interest. So let's say like this first one is 8%, which is 0.08. And the second one is at 10%, so 0.10. That's how we can kind of tell the difference between the 2. One has an 8% interest rate, and the other one has a 10% interest rate. And it says if the interest Kelly receives is $2,640, then how much does she have in each account? Okay, well, we already took care of one equation. One equation was investment, dollar amount invested equals total invested. It's all about dollar investment, okay? The second one's now all going to be about the interest earned. Well, she earns 8% per dollar invested in the first one. She earns 10% off of everything invested in the second one. So interest on the first, interest on the second, has got to be a total interest of $2,640. Okay, and now since we're more in the form of matrices, let's form our matrix first, and then let's use our calculators to help solve it. Where column 1 is going to be all about the x's, so x is 1 and 0.08. Column 2 are the y's, so 1 and 0.10. And then column 3 will have $30,000 and then 2,640. Okay, well, if we look at the dimensions here, this looks like it's always by row by columns. So this right here is a 2 by 3 matrix. And what we're going to do is just go back up like we did before, and I can kind of walk you guys through this again. Let second x inverse and scroll to the right to edit, because we're going to edit matrix A and put in the dimensions. Instead of like a 3 by 4, it's not going to be a 2 by 3. So 2 enter, 3 enter, and let's go through and we'll hit 1, 1, and 30,000. Then 0.08, 0.1, and then 2,640. Okay, so after all those are entered in there, we'll hit second quit or second mode, so we can quit back to the main screen. Go second x inverse, scroll right to math, and then we want to go down to B. So we have RREF, hit enter, and then go second x inverse or second matrix. Make sure that the cursor next to matrix A, the one we just entered, is all highlighted. So hit enter, close parentheses, and hit enter. And it's going to tell us then it's going to come up with a matrix that says 1, 0, 0, 1. You know, it doesn't have the bar in there, but we know what it means. Okay. It says 18,000 and 12,000. All right, that's looking pretty good because this first row, so she's going to basically, Kelly's going to invest 18,000, and I'm just going to say at that first interest rate, so at 8%. And then she's going to invest, looks like 12,000 at 10%. And this is really good. It's a double check. If I added up 18,000 and 12,000, it gives me the $30,000 which she wanted to totally invest. Okay, so let's just do one more and then we'll call this part of this video done and we'll go on to the next part on matrices.